All right, we're starting now. All right, so I'm talking today with Mr. Anthony Bonds. He is our Executive Curriculum Director at Anniston City Schools. And first of all, Mr. Bonds, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really thank you so much. I look forward to gleaming some stuff from you today. And before we get started, though, how long have you been in this position?
My current position, I've been in this position for 6 months. So I joined Anniston City Schools in January.
Okay, that's what I thought. And I bet it's been a wild ride, hasn't it?
It has really fast. And 3 months later, then the pandemic hits, and it's been even crazier since then.
It's baptism by fire, pretty much, hasn't it?
It is. It is.
All right. So I've got some questions here, just kind of about your position and different things. So
No problem.
all right. So the first question is, how do you maintain an integrated curriculum, both horizontally and vertically aligned, that engages all students in rigorous, relevant academic challenges?
First of all, anything that you do with curriculum instruction, you have to make sure that it's first of all aligned to the overall strategic plan. And the strategic plan is adopted by the school board, which has had a lot of input from the community. So first and foremost, the curriculum has to match the desires of the community. So once that has been established, my role and curriculum director's roles, is to leverage staff expertise to really accomplish the vision and mission that has been articulated. So my role is simply to make sure that the standards, including the standards, the resource materials, the assessments, the professional development for staff are all in alignment with that content core area. But again, that also supports the mission and vision of the school district. For example, a district may say that they want to really ensure that students have experiences in STEM education, or they really want to make sure that students have some real insight on their choice after high school, such as college and career readiness. So the curriculum has to be aligned to it. And so even with the math, the job of all of the standards, again, the materials, staff development, have to make sure that they all support that effort. And so our job now is to figure out how to make sure that we tie it into the sciences, that we tie it into engineering, and that there is some conversation and dialogue around, again, increasing that interest in students for that. So that's how we go about making sure that everything is in line and meeting the needs of all students.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Next question is, how do you lead and motivate teachers to adhere to the prescribed state standards? What are the teachers' perception of both curriculum director working towards common goals?
Mm-hmm. I think, I guess, are we talking about just Anniston City School or my experience overall?
Probably your experience overall.
Okay, let me start with my experience overall because I have not only been I am now the executive director for curriculum instruction for Anniston City Schools, but previous to that, I also served as the assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction for the Beloit School District in Wisconsin. And then previous to that, I was the director of elementary schools. So I was the director of elementary schools.
Oh, wow.
So in all of those roles, it was all curriculum related. It was also overseeing the professional development and coaching of principals. So in all of my experiences, the perception of directors and leaders in curriculum vary from district to district. I think you have some staff who believe at the end of the day, a lot of teachers believe that central office is unnecessary. It's unfortunate, and they have their reasons why. And then there's others who look for central office to be a real support for the work that they do. And that's where I come in, and that's how I've led. My efforts has always been to make sure that not only the work that I do, but the work of my team is one that is a resource to the buildings and especially the teachers in the classroom. So as you see, even in Anniston, you may have received a couple emails either from me or through your principals about curriculum needs. asking, like, do you have the workbooks or the materials that you need in your building? What things are you missing? Because I want to make sure you have what you need to be successful with students in the classroom. I also ask for opinions about professional development needs and try to make sure that you teachers and all staff have a voice in some of the professional development that's going to be given to make sure it's, again, that it fits in with what the professional wants, and it also is alignment with what the district also wants to accomplish. So I view the curriculum leaders to be a resource. Some people would say a servant leader. I believe it's more than just being a servant leader. It's more being viewed as being resourceful and a true resource to buildings. So that, again, teachers can have what they need to be successful with those students.
Okay. All right. What has been, this is kind of off subject a little bit, but what has been the biggest challenge as far as going from Wisconsin to Alabama, as far as with standards and that kind of stuff?
Actually, there hasn't been. I think there hasn't been any challenges. I think Alabama has, it's not something that I would just say, but I know Alabama probably know that it has been behind in a lot of areas when it comes to teaching and learning. And, the data speaks for itself in terms of still being one of the lowest performing states in the nation. But what I have seen is that the State Department of Education has made a concerted effort over the years to really support schools. And so I see a lot of concerted effort to help school districts. And so I can go to the State Department and contact one of the resources, and they pick up the phone, or if nothing else, they have been responsive in calling back. So I see that things that have been in a good place with regards to standards and expectations, because Alabama has joined the rest of the nation in trying to raise standards, raise rigor, and try to figure out how to help support teachers, and realize that it is truly the teachers is going to make the difference. And they realize also that early childhood is important, and trying to figure out how we can support early learners. They realize that leadership is important, and they provide a lot of leadership development for our principals, because principals are so integral. And so there hasn't been a big change. It's just affirming. And in what I like is, because it is still somewhat still catching up, I'm happy in the role, because I've been in other states where we've already done a lot of good work. So my efforts, and experiences is I'm able to leverage that to implement in Anniston. And so that's
okay. Okay, cool. All right. The next question is, I don't need to answer. Says, are teachers involved in any curriculum decisions feedback? And I can say from firsthand, yes.
Yes.
That's a big resounding yes.
Yes.
So the next question says, how do you assess instructional programs, activities, and materials?
Through a variety of ways. And we're trying to develop that now. We have to develop a systematic structure for program development. So some districts, and and Anniston has had one. I found an old copy of one. We call it a curriculum cycle. And that curriculum renewal cycle is simply a 4 to 5 year, sometimes it's 4 or 5, 6 year plan of how we really evaluate the curriculum. And in that template, it identifies what core areas will be up for adoption. But through that process, there's a real thorough review of the effectiveness of the curriculum. For example, math. So the math was up for adoption. We would do a really deep dive of the data to decide if the core materials that we are using and other resources, have they been effective or not. And we use that information to make some decisions on whether we're going to do a new adoption or continue with the programs and resources that are in place, or to make changes along the way. So it's all about a cycle of continuous improvement. And that's how you go about making programmatic changes and deciding if the curriculum is meeting needs. And again, that document, as I call it, a curriculum renewal cycle, it's usually done through a continuous improvement model, like I just described, of analyzing data, involving a team, having the experts, at the table to help make those decisions. So that's how I go about making programmatic changes and improvement.
Okay. And you just went ahead and answered the next question. So it says, how do you use diagnostic tools to assess, identify, and support instructional improvement, and our administrators and teachers involved. And that's
you have to follow the data, and I think that's, you know, and you asked before, some of the challenges in my experiences has been, and it doesn't make a difference. I've worked in urban and suburban districts, successful, and, you know, districts who have some significant challenges, but some of the things are really the same. You know, data, you know, some people educators in my mind most often shy away from data, or think data is overrated, or think that there's an over usage of it to make decisions. But you can't hide from the data to make some decisions on improvement. And I'm sharing it because I know teachers are challenged with that, and educators are challenged with that, but that's the only way we can know if we're really making changes, is to really review the data, then make some decisions. But I have been a part of districts where the data was the only thing that people thought about, and they forgot the individuals and the professionals. They're human, they have kids, they have families, you know, and the kids that they're supporting are actually human beings, and they're not bots either. So while we have data, there's just that emotional and social the kids bring to the classroom that, you know, that educators have to work with. And educators overall, in my mind, in schools, you know, we're being asked to do a lot and to play a lot of different roles. And sometimes it has absolutely nothing with teaching and learning. And that can be disheartening for teachers. And I think that's probably why have lost a lot of educators, or that's probably why a lot of educators are not content in their role, because they want to just teach.
Right.
And it's tough. So I know that wasn't a specific question, but
no,
a specific question, but that's what I want to share.
Okay, thank you.